it's Rach. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to what will be my third video in which I'll be discussing the Muse Tarot, another deck from Chris Anne. If you watched my past video, you will be aware that my favourite tarot deck of all time is the Lightseers Tarot, which is also made by Chris Anne. This is the Muse Tarot. The Muse Tarot is completely different to most of the decks I've come across so far, in that some of the cards have been changed. It comes in a beautiful box on which the inside looks like this. It's really nice and sturdy, and it comes with a lovely guidebook which is in black and white. But I just wanted to explain to you, before I show you the Muse Tarot and the cards within it, how Chris has changed some of the suits and also some of the court cards. So first of all, she has changed the wands, as she calls them, the fiery wands, and she's changed them into inspiration, because the suit carries the sparks of motion and a ton of creative energy. She's then changed the cups, as we know them, to emotions, as the suit helps us to recognise our heart space and to tune into our feelings. She's then transformed the swords into voices, as the difficulties that we face when creating our lives are often a result of communication or of the voices in our own heads. And the earthy pentacles she has changed into materials, as this suit's about rooting security, wealth and safety. So one of the things that you'll notice as I show you this deck is that the kings have been completely replaced by a much more feminine muse. So the kings in the deck have been transformed into muses, as they embody the energy of their element, whether it be fire, water, air or earth. And they can show you, after having arrived at the end of the suit's journey, how to travel through their lessons gracefully. So this is the Muse Tarot. I will just let you know now, it took me a little while getting used to. And although I was really excited about receiving this deck, having worked with the Lightseers, I wasn't disappointed, but I was just a bit perplexed when I first got these cards. I couldn't quite bond with them like I did the Lightseers. But then after a few hours of sitting and going through the cards, there was just a real energy about them. And the guidebook, actually, I tend not to use guidebooks when I'm reading tarot, but I did in this case. And the guidebook almost makes this tarot feel a little bit more like an oracle. There's much more of a message, much more of a guidance there. So I'll show you the cards. I will first explain that I have edged this deck, a beautiful backslit. I've edged this deck in purple. So if you were to buy this as a mass market produced deck, you wouldn't see the purple edges because they're obviously white. Okay, we'll start with the Fool. You can see here, it is quite a collage deck, and it does kind of remind me a little bit of The Moonchild by Danielle Noel. There's something about the artwork here that just resonates with, I don't know, it just reminds me of that particular deck. But it's a beautiful card, and you can see this kind of desert that she's walking along with a ladder coming through, and the cosmos here, almost like she's going to the edge. A beautiful card. You will notice that each card, as I've mentioned, is very feminine. We have the Magician here. I love this card. I love the rainbow colours that are flying past her hands as she's reaching up. Beautiful card. There's a rainbow at the bottom there as well. And this is the Priestess rather than the High Priestess, the Priestess. And I love that the gown that she's wearing is kind of hiding half her face there, but she's able to see that clarity and this kind of idea of knowledge and power. She's literally got the moon there in her hands. This is the most beautiful card from this deck. This is my favourite card. This is the Empress. I love that she's got like the cosmos, if you will, coming from her centre. And she's got this light, and she's got the earth there and the moon and the planets. and it's just really, really powerful card. So pretty. The Emperor, you'll see, is a lady. And the lady is actually wearing a mountainside, if you will. She's got the power. This reminds me of some sort of album art. It's I don't know, it's really different to most tarot cards in terms of that it is all very feminine. The Hierophant. I'm not so sure about this card. I don't know why. It just doesn't resonate with me. I love the little lanterns everywhere, and this idea of kind of, it looks to me more like finding yourself than, you know, that kind of, the Hierophant to me is a guru and a guide. And yes, you've got this kind of guru sat here with all the knowledge here, but it's, I suppose, maybe finding yourself and finding a guide, maybe. This card, the Lovers, just the colour, it's like boom, colour. I love it. Flowers and the two people here walking towards each other, this lotus kind of feel about things, but the colour is just immense. The Chariot, you've got all the horses there. Still, I know the Chariot's about movement and about this kind of transition to getting to a particular place in this challenge. This card, I just didn't feel it to begin with, but I do now. I love this one. Strength. She's literally riding the lion. The Hermit. This idea of like a desert and desolation. The Wheel. I don't know why this reminds me of ballet, but it does. I feel like it's ballet dancers all dancing around a wheel. Justice. This card's really interesting. I love that there's a split there, like a two-mind split, and this third mind, if you will, coming out from the centre. These different perspectives. The Hanged Muse, rather than the Hanged Man. Death. Oh, how pretty is this card? So pretty. It's certainly not scary, is it? This transformation card. Beautiful. Temperance. Don't know why I want to say this, but it reminds me of an Annie Lennox album cover. The Devil. Again, female. Fiery ideas. This kind of idea of not quite going with the flow, not quite going with the plan. The Tower. This destructive mind. The Star. This isn't my favourite star card. It just doesn't say light and hope to me. She actually looks quite wary and quite worried. Anyway. The Moon. I love this card. This huge moon. But this card actually reminds me of some of the Moonology deck, some of the Moonology Oracle. I just love that pink moon there. The Sun. And this card here, they've renamed as Awakening. So obviously this would be Judgment, but it's the idea of awakening and this kind of new vision. The World Cosmos, rather than the world. Beautiful, isn't it? Having the entire world as your mind, and the wings are absolutely gorgeous. So that's the Major Arcana. It took me a while to build a bond with these cards, and I've showed you the back already, but there you go. Similar design to the Light Seers with the diamond there, but it's very pink and floral. As my husband would say, it's very fluffy and girly. But I do like it. I do like the deck. I don't like it as much as the Light Seers, but I do like it. So we'll get on to the first suit, which would be the Cups, or as we now know it in the Muse, the Emotions. So we have the Ace of Emotions here. This idea of a new relationship. The cards do not speak to me like they do the Light Seers. You've got to have a knowledge of the tarot themselves to actually be able to read these cards with ease, I would say. You need to have already read tarot. This wouldn't be a great starter deck, but it's very pretty. The Two of Emotions. I love this card. I don't know why, it's just very holiday feel. It's like an advert for a swimming pool and beautiful bright summer colours. The Three of Emotions. It's the idea of meetings and celebration. I love this one. The Four of Emotions. I love that she's actually sitting in her own cup there. And she doesn't look very happy, and there's that idea of dissatisfaction. Five of Emotions. Now this card here, my daughter said, "Oh, it's the queen, the evil queen from Snow White, the evil witch." No, it's a tarot card, but I can see where she's coming from. It does have that kind of look of the old woman, the witch from Snow White in the Disney film. Six of Emotions. This idea of looking into your past to build the future, and it's like she is looking there into the past. It's a bit like the mirror from Harry Potter, where you can kind of see what you, see your desires. Seven of Emotions. Love this card. Eight of Emotions, this walking away idea. But it does look like an eclipse, doesn't it? A total eclipse. Nine of Emotions. It's very meditational. 10 of Emotions. Now for me, the 10 of Cups is a real happy wish card. You know, it's a contentment card, and that to me just, I don't know, it's nice, but it doesn't shout out the message. The Page of Emotions. So you've got that female kind of vibe going on as well. The Knight of Emotions. Got the idea of this horse, or unicorn maybe in this case. It's a horse. Queen of Emotions. I love the artwork in this card. So beautiful. I usually kind of feel that I link most to the Queen of Cups or the Queen of Emotions, but I don't really link with this card. And finally, rather than the King, see, I would show you it like this, but actually I need to turn it. This is the Muse of Emotions. So this would be the King card. So the Kings or the Muses are all landscape rather than portrait. It's very different to most decks. And if you're wanting something different, then I would definitely recommend the Muse. It is different. So, inspiration we have instead of the staves. Ace of Inspiration. Beautiful card. The Two of Inspiration. Different, isn't it? Three of Inspiration. Love these dominoes. This idea of things kind of falling one after the other. The domino effect. Four of Inspiration. I do like this card, these kind of gatherings and celebrations and happiness. It does feel like that. Five of Inspiration. This challenge and competition. It's certainly viewable in the card. A lot more so than the other cards. Six of Inspiration. Love this card. But I would have actually used this kind of artwork as like the 10 of Emotions or the 10 of Cups. It's kind of the idea of the star and the wish. That's just my viewpoint. Seven of Inspiration. I love this. But once again, thinking of album art, there is an album, and I'm not quite sure which album it is I'm thinking, but I just look at this and think, there's a vinyl cover that it just reminds me of. I think it might be Pink Floyd. Anyway, Eight of Inspiration, or Eight of Staves, if you're wondering. Because you do kind of start to forget what the original suits were called when you're working with this particular deck. Nine of Inspiration. And the 10 of Inspiration, this idea of like getting to the end of a project, but kind of having that burden. And there is this feeling of burdenment, is that even a word? This hard work, upward hill climb kind of thing. But the messages in the cards aren't as clear as the light seers. So Chris Ann has done a beautiful job with artwork, but it's just not shouting out to me like the other deck. So Page of Inspiration, sorry. Beautiful artwork there, absolutely gorgeous. The Knight of Inspiration. I love these fireworks in the background and the horse running and this idea of speed and haste. The Queen of Inspiration, the Queen of Staves. And, of course, not the King, the Muse of Inspiration. And it's landscape again. Please do comment below and tell me what you think of this deck, if you've got this deck or if you're considering buying it, or if you've seen it before, and let me know what your thoughts are. I love this one. The voices here are what would be the swords. This is the Ace of Swords or the Ace of Voices, this aha moment, this kind of new start, and I love this card. New Horizons. Two of Voices, this decision making card. And the Three of Voices. Now I do like this. I love the beams of light going up to the sky. Although I don't know why I want to say that she's sat on some sort of strange planet, but just how it feels. Very album art. Four of Voices or Swords. And to me it looks like she's in some sort of a bath with a really nice bath bomb there. It could be a Lush Finest special, couldn't it, that? In fact, I think I've had a bath bomb with pink hearts in like that before. But again, totally detracted from the message of the card. Five of Voices or Swords. Six of Voices. And the spikes there shooting up. This is a pretty card. Seven of Voices, this reflective, looking back kind of card. And the Eight of Voices. Now this is dark. I love this card with a blindfold on, but these beams of light again shooting up. And these shadows. The Nine of Swords or Voices. I keep saying swords just to remind you and myself actually where we're writing this. This idea of nightmares and worry. And the Ten of Swords or Voices. Beautiful card. Love this card. Moving on to the court cards, we have the Page of Voices. And the Knight of Voices. And the Queen of Voices. Now she looks like she's really businesslike, and there's a bit of Cruella de Vil about her. I don't know. And again, we have not the King, but the Muse and its landscapes. The Muse of Voices there. Right, moving on to the final minor arcana suit, which is the coins or pentacles. But in this case, Chris Ann has renamed them to be materials, and rightly so, because it is about materials. It's not all about money and wealth. It is material things. So, Ace of Materials. I love this card. The Two of Materials, this idea of dividing and sharing. Three of Materials. I don't know why I keep looking at this and thinking, oh, it looks like a wedding cake. But it's not. It's this plotting together and teamwork and mucking in together. I love it though. Four of Materials. I've now got Madonna's Material Girl just going through my head. And I love this one, this Five of Materials. This idea of being lonely and being like isolated, but there is a path forward. Some of the cards really do work and others just... Six of Materials, very pretty, very girly. Seven of Materials. It's kind of very Instagrammable, isn't it, this? It's Eight of Materials. I love this card. 9 of materials are coins. I don't love the card because of the message. I just love the artwork on the card. Like I just said, it's very Instagrammable. It's yeah, it's less tarot, more fashion, isn't it, really, here? 10 of materials. This is a beautiful card with the rose, like the roses in the tree there, and the circle around the bottom of the tree, and this gathering and this idea of community and family and happiness and contentment. I love that card. Page of materials. Again, all feminine characters. And the Knight of materials. A horse with a huge rose in its mane in its mane. The Queen of materials. And finally, not the King, the Muse of materials. So, beautiful deck. Really nice cardstock. It's made by Hay House, and although I've edged mine, they just come plain white. If you get the standard deck, there is an indie deck available, but I think it's probably sold out by now. So this is a beautiful deck, very, very feminine. I have said it's kind of Instagram material. All the suits have changed, and I did mention earlier that when you're looking for a message in this particular using these tarot cards, I felt like the messages were almost more of an oracle fashion in terms of guidance. So I will take one of the cards. I'll just randomly go to. So we've got the Four of Voices, which, as I mentioned before, is swords. And Chris Ann says, the Muse of deep rest and healing welcomes you to her starlight nebula of rebirth and renewal, offering you a time away so that you may escape the wheel of hustle and chaos, as it so quickly becomes a pattern. She spins a mix of stars and rose petals and stirs you the sweetest of waters, an elixir made for your wounds, both energetic and physical, emotional and spiritual. She invites you to walk slowly across the bridge and to fall into the deepest of rests with her. Sleep sweet, creator love. You must rest for your health. Sleep, for this is where all the energy to create your path will be found. Do you see what I mean by it's more like a message of an oracle deck rather than a tarot deck? So I think reading this tarot without the guide, because I always read tarot without a guide because I know the meanings of the cards. I've been reading long enough to know that. I don't feel the vibe. But if I use the guide, actually, I do feel a vibe. And I like these cards in more of a guidance format. So I have found myself using the Muse Tarot if I'm reading for myself. And it's a really lovely deck of cards. So I would recommend it. And I do like the Muse, but I will openly admit that in comparison to the Light Seers, it doesn't even come close. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again in the near future. Bye.